Welcome to SoulWhat, a SoulTopia production. Every Tuesday, Michelle and Roger Welch take a deep dive into the intriguing and proactive world of metaphysics, a world beyond our human perception. They'll talk to empaths, readers, and other guests from all walks of life to find out what's hiding under the surface, uncover the mysteries of our modern world, and reveal the answers you need to live a happy, healthier life. Now, here's your hosts, Michelle and Roger Welch.
Hello, how is everyone on this wonderful Tuesday? How are you, Roger?
I'm awesome.
Yes?
Yep. A little cooler than it was last week, but it's still
I can't
too
tell.
freaking hot.
I can't tell. What was the temperature?
Like 105 today, Matt. 104.
That sounds right. I was inside most of the day, but yeah,
Freaking getting fed up.
it hasn't gotten there yet.
Yeah. Well, tonight we are going to talk about aliens, and not in a joking sense. We may joke some, but we're actually talking about aliens that I cover in my book. Right here, Spirits Unveiled. It's my brand new book. I do want to let y'all know I will be maybe covering this weekend, Saturday night in the middle of the night, Sunday on Coast to Coast. So if any of you are familiar with that, I will be on that show talking about my new book, Spirits Unveiled.
That's very cool. Do you know who the host is going to be?
They told me, and last time it was George Norrie,
George
but
last
I'm
time.
not
Yeah.
sure that it's him this time. So, but whoever it'll be wonderful. So I'm not sure. Last time when it was in the middle of the night, on the weekend, that's who it was. But
It's
for
like
some
4
reason,
a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, no, they do that stuff live. That's
Yeah,
always
it's
it's always wild to
Yeah.
listen to that and be like that somebody's up at 2 a.m. doing an interview or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really cool.
yeah, you don't say no to that one though.
No, you don't.
you don't say
You do
no
not.
to when you're asked to be on Coast to Coast. It's
That is what you would call a target audience.
yeah.
Definitely.
So yeah, it's going to be fun.
You need to talk about the aliens in there.
We definitely will. And so tonight we're going to talk about aliens. You see the graphic I made in about 4 minutes, you guys. But he's funny. He's cute, I think. I will have to see what alien we think he might be. Probably insectoid or reptilian, right?
Insectoid, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So when we talk about it on here, we've got 3 people in the room, Matt, Roger, Michelle, that we all, I believe in aliens, or at least we're very interested in the subject of aliens, right?
Yep.
Would you agree? Some people, I think we've gotten to the point where most people probably believe there are UFOs, what do they call them now?
UFPs.
UAP.
Unidentified
Aerial phenomena.
aerial phenomena.
If I had to guess, I actually
Yeah,
don't
that
know.
is
but I
right,
know
that's
but I know
That
that's
fill
what
in the blank was very good. Sorry.
Somebody's trying to play us off. They're
Yeah.
changing it up because it's getting ready to come out.
that
So they haven't really admitted, that there are other, species. Species we know we've evolved through different species here on Earth, but there are aliens. Let's just call it aliens that are here. But they've admitted to something they can't identify, right?
That's
But
right.
it could be Matt's drone. We don't know. We just can't identify it at this point. But they actually have ruled that out, that it's not a drone, right? It's flying too fast. It makes too sharper moves and things like that. So in my book, I talk about, I call them multi-dimensionals also. So why I say that is just because to me, it's all about frequency. They're here with us. It's just like, can we communicate? They're not necessarily all coming from a different planet. That's why I have never been that interested in the UFOs, because to me, they're already here. We already have aliens amongst
That's
us.
how we got the Blackbird and all these other planes.
So explain.
Reverse technology. All these advanced planes where they just had, you got to think, Orville and them was, the first airplane was 1910, 1911?
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And 50 years later, we're going to space.
Yeah. And, Roger watches a lot of, NASA. NASA, we joke about it all the time. It's NASA, but from when I'm always like, what's that NASA on the filling up our TV, whatever, what is it called? Filling up our,
Well, then it was TiVo.
back then it was TiVo, but it's
Now we
just,
don't have any of that because
Yeah,
now it's just on demand. Watch it.
right. So, but he
And they got
watched,
some good ones now. Of course, some of them you got to pay for now.
so you go to a lot of your ancient aliens, and to me, everyone comes back to a lot of old civilizations have pictures of UFOs. They have pictures of the people, whether it's the Mayans or Egyptians, interacting with not just the craft like the UFO, but also with different types of species, like aliens, right? Their drawings and
because so they talk a lot about history of the world. Okay, the people they get amazed. Things are like 2,000 years old, but they don't realize even 20,000 years ago there was a lot of technology actually on the earth that just kind of died away, disappeared, but they're finding that stuff all the time now.
Right. So, we're not here tonight to prove to anyone that there are aliens. I don't need any proof. I see them, I interact with, I can look at somebody and I can know, I can feel it actually on the back of their neck. I know that sounds weird, but people walk up to me, they'll be like, feel the back of my neck. And if not with Roger, because he has a lot of alien energy, but I will get really woozy around certain alien energy. I'll tell you what his is after a while. In my book, I have a quiz. We're not going to take the quiz tonight. The main reason is it would just take too long for y'all and have to call it out. If somebody hops on later, we'd be in the middle of the quiz, and it just isn't conducive to this type of show. It's better for you to get the book and then take the quiz. The quiz doesn't tell you until you look in the appendix which alien you ended up picking, okay, like when you do the quiz. So you can't rig it that easily unless you want to go back to you really want to be Lemurian, then you're not going to know unless you already know a lot about Lemurians when you're taking this test. So just take the quiz honestly. That's the best way to do it. Not what you want to be, but how you really feel. So we're going to give you a few of the examples and we're going to start with the Lyrans, okay? And Roger he can tell you about his deck that he always uses. For those of you that watch, that he reads with this deck, and we thought it might be funny, but actually it's turned out to be pretty accurate. He's given very accurate readings.
In which this deck, they can't put every known species of aliens in this deck. So I pulled out the ones we do have. I think we're missing a couple.
Well, clearly, and I couldn't put every known species because I don't know them all, and I haven't heard about them all or studied or even asked to connect with them all. But I do believe, just like in connecting with a fairy, the elementals, or anything else, you just need to ask and adjust your frequency. We will talk about that in a second. So we're starting with the Lyran starseeds. What do I mean by starseed? By that I mean I think we all came from somewhere else. We didn't come from here. We originated from a different, not even necessarily in our universe. It could be the multiverse, somewhere else. But often you will hear people say, go outside and look up. And oftentimes, if you do that a lot, and you really, can see the stars, oftentimes if you take notice of it, you'll notice that you're always looking up. It's basically the same area. And it's said, I don't know if this is true or not, but it's said that that's a lot of times where you're from. So I also believe that they're hybrids. And what I mean, so by that I mean, Roger could be part human and he could be part 2 or 3 different kinds of, or one kind of alien. Our DNA isn't totally accounted for. You guys know that, right? So there's areas of our DNA that's not accounted for. So you can go in 23andMe, and maybe someday it'll say you're part Lyran, right? Yep. Okay, so what do you have that it says about Lyran on your card, Roger? Because they really simplify it.
All right, yeah, they do. Strength, courage, and bravery.
Okay. So I'm just going to go to, and you'll know which one we're talking about because we're going to go to, I'm going to tell you a few things about it. A lot of times in their purest form, they're going to have like feline features, okay? So cat-like features. Does that picture have it?
It does.
You want to show it?
So, oops.
Okay.
So you kind of see on his head, his ears are actually up on top of his head. And his face has kind of that feline look.
Yeah, the eyes definitely.
Yep, the eyes. Yep. So kind of cool.
So these are really, really old souls. If you're a Lyran, you're probably a pretty old soul. You're probably a fairly gentle soul. You're strong because they were attacked by the Draconians. And they almost faced extinction, but they survived. And potentially one of the ways they survived, and we'll talk about the Lemurians doing this later also, is they went to different areas from where they were, okay, in order to survive an attack by the Draconians. This may sound silly, but think about us today. Think about people in the world today. What are they doing? They're leaving, not us, thankfully, right now. We're in America, at least I am, Matt, Roger, but think about parts of the world. It's not unusual for somebody to want to get rid of a certain country and take that country over. That is not, that's not unusual. It's not unusual to think that they would want to, another type of being would attack them, right?
Right.
Very believable. And so they did. So they left for different parts of the world. So probably the oldest souls around are the Lyrans, okay? They're very grounded, analytical. They're very, very, very hard workers, but they're going to be fiercely independent if you're a Lyran. You're not going to always depend on other people because you have a little bit of not trusting because of what happened way back in your ancestral DNA. So even if you descend from the Lyrans or you're a hybrid Lyran now, you're going to have a little bit, and you want that freedom. You don't really ever want to be tied down. You love traveling to different places, and you really enjoy life to the fullest because you were on the verge of extinction at one point. So you really enjoy that, okay? They typically are fearless and athletic. And like, again, they'll try things. So this probably counted me out of the Lyrans because I'm not going to just try anything. I'm like, want to really be safe. So they're kind of fearless when it comes to things like that, except for other people. They're not always trusting, okay? They're going to be assertive when they have to defend themselves. So if you come at a Lyran or somebody with Lyran energy, then you may be shocked because they're very, very kind. But then if you come at them aggressively, they're going to come back at you. They're going to snap back at you quickly, yeah. And they are very, very, very quick to defend against any injustice because of what they've been through, okay? And so that's a little bit about the Lyrans. Do you have to have cat-like features to test to be a Lyran? No, but I believe that one of our workers, Roger, Matt, you just met her. She's part Lyran. I won't say who it is. I think she's listening tonight, but she's on her way home. She's very obviously, when you see her, she can tell she has some of those cat-like features, right? And so she definitely has those feline, right, features to her. So the Lyran quiz, I'm going to tell you, so you'll know, I'm going to tell you a couple of things. And I just told you, basically, what would be in the quiz. Roger, can you talk 1 second? I'm trying to find the page.
One thing is because you were talking about intelligence and stuff like that. Even in how she drew this deck's by Lisa Porter. Instead of being like a computer screen, I think it's kind of cool. It's like an orb, and you can see like the star, seeds on it and different symbols on it and everything. So he's like studying it instead of like a computer screen. It's actually an orb that's floating in front of him. So you can tell they're actually a very advanced, species.
Right. So, Matt, you can tell me. So there's 10 to this group, the Lyrans. There's 10 things. Should I just read a couple of them, or should I just read all?
Just give us an example of what the types of questions that people would be answering.
So it's kind of the thing. I'm sorry for cutting you. It's kind of the things that I've already said. So one of the things would be, so you wouldn't know that this was Lyran at the time, but it'd be, I'm very analytical, and you score this in my book, from like never to always, right? I work towards goals with a passion. I'm fiercely independent. I fight injustice with a passion. I'm a fearless daredevil. I said that one just took me right out of it. I'm not that one.
We know that.
I'm very grounded.
We tried to get her to do roller coaster to help with the kidney stones, and she said no way.
So Anthony's sister Jamie told me that if I'll be on the back row of the roller coaster, it doesn't work. She even had the percentages. But if I'm on the front row, and I'm like, it ain't gonna happen.
She's like, she's on my case about it again today. But I don't know why you didn't take her on the roller coaster yet.
You also have keen survival skills if you're a Lyran. Okay, so do we like how we're doing this?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm curious. In your opinion, does everyone have some amount of alien energy, or are there people with none?
I would say nothing's impossible. So there's probably somebody with none.
I mean, are there other things that you could be if not alien? If not,
could you just be human? Is that what you're saying, or could it be human and something else? Human bred with. I guess I would probably call that other thing alien. I wouldn't know what to call it.
Okay. So alien is like, when we're talking about this here, we're talking more about like kind of a catch-all term for anything other than human.
Right.
Right. Because I've heard you refer to like fairy type energy and stuff like that. Is that
Very good question.
considered alien?
Thank you for asking that.
Okay.
That would be no. Okay, so you may combine and have some angel and fairy, and which is said I do, and Carla that I talk about at the top of this chapter, she does, but she also has some alien energy too. So, angel energy, but I'm beginning to think that angels have alien energy.
Yeah.
So it's confusing. But the question is, so if you had fairy energy, fairy and human together, would that be under this chapter? I would say no. It wouldn't be like multiverse energy unless that fairy energy came from a different dimension, different multiverse.
Angel,
does that answer it?
Yeah,
Matt?
yeah.
Okay, because I want to make sure I answer it.
And the one that's the the angel one, it's not in your book, is the Anunnaki. That one, because even in here it talks about it. They are the fallen ones, the fallen angels, and the watchers.
It's a type of angel.
Alien. Yeah, a type of angel.
It's a type of angel alien. I don't think you have to be a fallen angel. I do have that in the book. I don't think you have to be a fallen angel per se to be now to have angel alien energy. I think it's shifting, and it could be because my eyes are ready to open and see something different. Not that I'm more advanced, it's just where I'm at in life. Whereas maybe the way I was brought up, I could only see a really beautiful angel with wings before. Now I can see them. They don't just look like that to me. An angel looks very alien-like to me. But very good question. That would be handled in kind of a different way. Okay, so you could have fairy and fairy energy, elemental energy, which is, very earthy kind of energy, which is a different frequency and a different dimension. So it's a really good question, Matt. It is multidimensional and a different frequency, but it's not what I'm talking about specifically here.
Okay.
Okay, these are all going to be kind of star seeds where you're out there, like,
Yeah.
what's it? Not Star Wars, but the other one.
Star Trek.
Yeah, that one. Whatever and
Wait,
beyond.
no,
It's going to be that.
The Orville.
But thank you for asking that, because that's an incredibly good question. And I go through it a little bit in the book.
Yeah.
Because we do cover elementals in a different chapter, and I say there can be hybrids, that you can be that. Okay.
Well, yeah, that's what I was curious about, because I was like, I didn't know if everyone had just a little bit of everything, and it's like kind of like,
yeah, I think
more this than that, but I guess you could be other stuff.
It'd just be like, probably we are when we do 23andMe. We have, you find
Different
out
hybrids.
You find out you have a little more of different places than you thought. Everybody at me, and I find out I'm just same old what I thought it was, right?
Yes.
But so great question. I think you could actually have some fairy energy and then have some alien energy and then your human energy, right, too. Okay, thank you for that question. The next one I have is Andromedan, and I know that Roger has this one because every time he's like, I can't pronounce it, which I have trouble too. So while he's looking, I'm going to tell you that Andromedan star seeds, and we're going to call them star seeds, they're very, very rare. Okay, so what does your card say about that, Roger?
There's them right there. Kind of little hippie looking to me.
Okay.
Autonomy, free, and manifestation.
Okay. Their frequency is very different than ours. Very, very different. That's why they're more rare, one of the reasons. And what I mean by frequency is they probably have the hardest time. If you are here on Earth and you literally just don't feel comfortable on Earth, like you really feel like, I am not from here. Like I really just don't, not that you just don't fit in, not that you're an empath or something like that, just that you feel like I am not from this planet. And you have always felt that way, and I know there are people like this. There's a chance you would be Andromeda. And I'm not going to go into all the where exactly they're from, but it is in the book.
It's only 2.5 million light years from here.
It is, and it is very much where Lemurians, Palladians, Lyrans that we just talked about, and Syrians were also from, and you get into that in the book. But the appearances of them are much like ours, but sometimes you'll see them as taller, which you will a lot of alien. And when they're in their like true form, let's talk about that. So just like a fairy, an elemental, or an angel, or a demon, whatever you want to say, they can be in a true form. What they're like, if my true form was fairy, I might not look just like this, right? Just like human. But so sometimes you may see a flash of someone's true form. Like they just all of a sudden look different, and their face just looks different, and it shifts, and you'll be like, "Wait, what is that?" And it's probably their true part of their showing their true form. And another thing is a lot of hybrids can shapeshift intentionally. Okay, and I'll tell you which ones do that the most. Remind me to do that if I don't. But they're tall. Earth feels just very dense and heavy because their frequency is much higher. Okay, so they're oscillating or vibrating at a much higher rate. Doesn't mean like they're nervous creatures, but they're just not. It's just they have a much higher vibration, and so Earth feels very, very heavy to them. They can help us open up to the higher frequencies. So to be around someone who is they don't feel like they're of this world, and they talk to you about things that get you thinking about other worlds and other things. Those people can really help you because they're not just thinking about materialistic, worldly things all the time, earthly things, right? So, and it says, I put in there, sometimes they feel uncertain on Earth because of the frequency difference, but this doubt is not warranted. You see, one thing they understand that many of us and many of our teachers have failed to realize is that we can ascend right here on Earth. So my point was, I believe that we don't have to leave here to ascend and to get higher frequencies. We can raise our frequencies here. The Andromedans understand that. They understand how to astral travel. So if you astral travel a lot, we can do a whole show on that if you want to, because I don't want to go on too long. But they'll connect to different dimensions. They also value their freedom a lot too. They love change also and adventure. They tend to have no sense of Earth time. Okay, so it's like, what time is it on Earth? That they're never on Earth time. Earth time means nothing to them because you'll hear the thing that Earth time is just an illusion.
Right.
They totally believe that time, like because we did make up time, right? I mean, we kind of made that up to keep track of things. I mean, there was a day and there was a night, but everything in between, we kind of made that up, right?
Yeah.
Okay. They're humble, and they try to be pretty private. So if you're real outgoing and you tell everybody all your business, you're probably not Androm. And like I said, they're the rarest. So, and did you show your card on that already?
I did.
Roger?
This also says these are 12th dimensional beings, ascended masters.
Right. So
Yeah.
I don't know that I buy all this dimension, that dimension. I don't have anything a personal experience to tell you exactly what, they're from the 15th dimension or whatever. I don't know. So I couldn't put that as something that I have familiarity with because other people have written about that. And to me, it's more frequency than it is what dimension are you in. Okay. So, but it could be true. I just don't know. And I keep losing my spot of where the, here we go. I need to put a thing in here. So, Andromedans. I'll just give you a few things. You can probably kind of guess what I would put on there. They value freedom. Freedom is more important than anything else. They like change. I'm shortening this. They love adventure. And it says I on your quiz. I can astral travel and connect to higher dimensions. If you don't even know what that is, you feel like, what's astral travel? Then this probably isn't you. I have a calling to help people expand and awaken their consciousness. I have a simple life. I'm humble, low-key, but confident, right? But you just don't tell people all the time. People might describe you as an old soul. I'm very private, and I'm called to be a teacher and guide of this world, right? So it's going to be rare for people to get that. If they get it, first of all, an Andromedan probably would have trouble saying, I'm very humble, because they're so humble that they wouldn't want to put the answer that they were very humble, right? Yeah. So that alone would kind of be difficult for an Andromedan to do. All right. Y'all ready for another one?
All right.
Any questions on that one? Any questions?
Nope.
Okay.
No, I don't think
All right, so do you have Syrians? It starts with an S. It's Sirian,
Yes,
and I
so
just told you that from the same place.
Yeah, and there's actually Syrians A and Syrians B.
Okay. Let's see them.
So they are one of them is very amphibious looking. The
It's very what
Syrians
looking? I'm sorry.
amphibian.
Okay.
That's the B's. And if you notice, they both have water though. So I'm assuming the planet they're from has a very aquatic.
So the reason do you want to know why?
Sure.
Because there were planets Sirius A and Sirius B. Okay, they're both located in the Dog Star. It's Canis Major, but it's also known as Dog Star or Star of Isis. So they're both located there in that constellation. It is said that the likes of Jesus, Mother Mary come from the brightest star. In the Bible, it says they come from the brightest star, or they refer to that in our sky, and that would be Sirius A. That is Sirius A. This is technical. It's not just Michelle making it up. That's the brightest star in the sky, right? So that's when you have two. Originally, they come from Vega in the Lyra. Remember, we talked about Lyrans in the Lyra constellation. And that was the supposed home of Earth's ancestors. So a lot of us, we may test to be Lyrans, a lot of us. Mer people and other water beings like that come from Sirius A and B. And I didn't divide them out, okay, into A and B. And so I'm going to give the quiz on that one. So here it is. And it is, almost read the wrong one. Okay, so I am drawn to this one's for Matt. I am drawn to multidimensional domains such as unicorns or Sasquatch. He's like, oh, Sasquatch.
Oh, there we go. There he is.
All right. I feel like I can communicate telepathically. I am naturally connected to aquatic life. I'm drawn to Egypt and Egyptian history. I have deep interest in science. I consider myself an artist and creative person. I'll read them all.
Okay.
I have to analyze. I love to analyze and watch people. Like if you're just somebody who just goes and you're a people watcher. Yeah, you might fall into this one. I have a few close friends. I recognize quality over quantity. I love fantasy and science fiction. I consider myself a mystic, witch, or a healer. Yep.
What's the significance of the Egyptian thing?
That one, and that's exactly what I was, it's part I didn't get to say. They also have said to interacting with the Egyptians to build the pyramids.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so, and I didn't say that, and I should have.
Another thing
Roger listens on.
Yep. And they also are the keepers of the 13 crystal skulls.
Well, okay.
If you think of the Greek god Anubis, he used to help Mott, take you to where they'd weigh the feather and determine if you got to go to the afterlife. But Anubis now, he has a different role, but I call him a newbie. We have Anubis bracelet, and I like to call him a newbie for funny or for jokes. But that's why they're connected, as they were said to very much have helped, and some of the Egyptians were Syrians. Okay, so that's why.
Makes sense.
Interesting.
Yep.
So that's interesting, and like I thought about this when you spoke earlier about the Anunnaki, which is something that the Sumerians wrote a lot about.
Yep.
And it was believed to be like those were the ones that they interacted with, or that's
Yes.
who they talked about. So it's interesting, like different cultures might have had different interactions with different types of beings, and that's what
I think that's brilliant.
that.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
It's not all just one, because I think a lot of people, when you talk about
Because even the
ancient
Maya,
alien stuff, like you think, oh, it's just one type that came down here and they had different interactions. But if it's like one dealt with Egyptians more and one dealt with older civilizations like the Sumerians more and others,
Right. Yeah.
Well,
And Sumerians had so much magic. I mean, Sumerians back and had crystals and magic, and they dealt with the quote unquote fallen angels who gave them a lot of that magic, right, and helped them. And so I think that's a really good point. And it makes sense too, because from all over the world you might get similar reports, but they're not exactly the same.
no.
Right? And then people go, well, see, they're not exactly the same, so that's not true. No, they're not exactly the same because they're not dealing with exactly the same beings. And it's a big old multiverse out there.
Exactly.
Right.
Because even the Mayan, that's when the people say, what happened to the Mayan when they disappeared? Well, the word that they use is actually went home, but they went home. And, that's what they used to tell people.
E.T.
They went home, and they point to the actual star system they went to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's their history. So, yeah.
Okay, so let's do Palladians. I'm going to read the quiz first. Okay, so these are Palladians, and
Palladians.
I'm somewhat connected with Palladians,
Here you
but
go.
I'm more
Got 'em.
Lemurians. Oh, you want to read them?
Palladians are right there. they look kind of tall. It says unconditional love, excitement, and laughter.
So Palladians, you'll hear people say, I always joke about this, you'll hear people say, I'm sure I wrote it in the book, they'll be like, well, I'm a Palladian. They'll get readings and they'll be told, well, you're a Palladian. And I was on the Palladian Council. A lot of books talk about that. If you're a Palladian, you would not tell people you were on the Palladian Council. You wouldn't brag that way. You wouldn't go, I was on the Palladian Council, because Palladians are totally different than that. Okay, Palladians would be very humble. They would keep that quiet. They consider people very, very, kind of like a utopian society, and we're going to get to Lemurians, and Lemurians descended from Palladians. But the Palladians, that's a giveaway right away. If somebody tells you, well, I'm a Palladian, and they're being kind of about it, and after, believe me, they're not a Palladian. And don't trust always, a reader can tell you, well, you're this or that, but ask them where are they getting that information, and what would that be like? Okay, to see if they're just throwing those words around, because Palladian gets thrown around a lot in these mystical circles or metaphysical circles, and it's like people want to be able to say they're Palladian, but believe me, Palladians would never brag. Okay, that's just not in their nature to brag about it. Okay, so number one, I am psychic. A Palladian's going to be psychic. So if you don't, I don't know, I'm not psychic. Well, you have to be honest. Do I sometimes feel I'm really intuitive? 2, I'm an empath. 3, I often have lucid, powerful, vivid dreams that are often premonitions. 4, I'm led by my heart. Okay, that's empath, right? I have more of a feminine nature, so I don't like the feminine male thing because of everything, but what the typical yin and yang, I mean, you're more of a receptive nature, a gentle nature, more of a passive nature, even though we as women don't like that. That's how it's usually described versus, the yin and the yang. I struggle with, this is interesting, low blood pressure and low body temperature, which I do. You'll know. I mean, this is almost like a giveaway. If you don't, then you're not Palladian. Okay, you can just take that one off. I am concerned with humanitarianism. Probably everybody's going to put that, but are you really? I mean, is that something very important to you? I don't see the point of social hierarchy, which is what I was talking about earlier. I have sensitive immune system, and I can easily develop autoimmune disorders. And I am extremely loving individual and can easily love to a fault. All right, so that's. And what did yours say, Roger?
It says unconditional love, excitement, and laughter.
Yeah. So that would be Palladians. All right.
I can understand why people want to associate with that, though. It sounds like a lot of pleasant attributes.
Yeah, and they may be. There probably are a lot of us that are descended from Palladians. They're highly evolved. They're highly loving. And they want to bring that to the world. If they're here, the big reason they're here is to try to bring that love and that compassion to, the world, because clearly we don't have it sometimes, right? They're from that star cluster, Pallades, which is within the Taurus constellation. They are going to behave just when you meet them. If they're pure, and they could be pure Palladians walking around too, just so you know, or hybrids. But they're gonna behave very much like a human. It's not like you're gonna go, there's something off about them. You're just gonna think that's a really nice person, and you're gonna believe it. You're not gonna think, okay, they're just faking it.
And tall.
They're just a kind person, right?
And tall.
And maybe tall, maybe. They are going to maybe be in they'll be involved in something like social justice. They might want to get into law in order to help with that in the social justice area. Or they'll sign up for things where they can affect change. They know that they're here for a purpose. So if you always are questioning your purpose, there's a good chance you might not be a Palladian. Or you may not realize your purpose is just to show how much you care for people. That your purpose might just be to smile at somebody as they walk by, and that's your purpose. And your purpose is minute by minute, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Palladians are nice, pretty, would there be a flip side? Could there be, everything can have a flip side. Every being can have a bad day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next one I have is the Lemurian, which is the one I test to be. What I recommend that you do, you can be more than one, But if you get that you're like 5 of them, go back and where you put a 5 or you put a 1, reconsider that might be, it might be just one off, and that'll get you the answer. So, do you have Lemurians?
No, they don't.
Okay,
have that
so
in
it's
this.
probably because of the Palladians. So Lemurians, I can just talk about. Lemurians are kind of the hippies. So you said that the Palladians looked kind of hippie,
Not
right?
the Palladians. The
Which ones did?
Wait, it was the Andronymus.
Okay, so the Palladians Lemurians, I've done a whole class on it. Lemurians are going to be just almost kind of hippie-like. But not necessarily. They get that, that won't be the only thing, but they truly believe in like utopian society. They're like, why can't we just all be equal and get along? Why does somebody have to be, and whoever was taking care of like the crystal garden, because there would be a crystal garden, or the dolphins and the whales, because all those 3 things, crystals, dolphins, and whales, were record keepers. They kept the records of, and I could talk forever about these, but the Lemurians were around, and it's from the society Mu, M-U, and that's spread across like, at first they thought just a little bit of an area, but now they've realized it's spread. If you look up Mu, M-U, a map of, you'll see it was a lot of, over more than just a couple of continents, okay? So they spread out. They spread out more and more as the Atlanteans came along, and Lemurians sort of integrated with the Atlanteans, but Atlanteans had a very different use for, we'll talk about them, a very different use for crystals. Lemurians saw them as record keepers, as beings. They would talk to the crystals. They would have temples. Everybody, if you were on the Lemurian council, you took care of the dolphins. No one was more important or higher than the other person, right?
Right.
Okay, so kind of like Palladians, but the difference would be, and we'll do the quiz and I'll tell you the difference. But just, you probably are going to love water, love it, but you might be scared of it. Because what allegedly, and I believe this, I've had dreams about it, I believe this happened, is that the Atlanteans sort of enslaved some of the Lemurians, okay? Again, not unusual. That sounds kind of crazy. Well, is it? It happens. Okay, and so they thought the Lemurians were trusting, but then they realized the Atlanteans, and as the Atlanteans, some of them, not all, got more and more towards they used crystals for wrong purposes, because of electricity is what they use them for. Just like we use them in watches and computers now, they knew all that stuff, and they were not always using them for good, right? Okay, so the Lemurians, here's some of the questions, and how you would distinguish between them and Palladians. You're going to love crystals. I love crystals. I can communicate telepathically. That's how they communicated. I always tell people will be like, well, I want to really see an angel with my physical eyes. And I'll be like, it's more advanced to see with your third eye.
Yeah.
Because that's what we used to do. So you can communicate telepathically, or I feel like I could do that. You love dolphins, whales. You think everybody should be on equal footing. But you believe everybody should pull their weight. So it's not like you should just give stuff away to somebody who's not pulling their weight. So you would feel strongly about that, okay? You would not think that you should just be giving stuff to somebody who doesn't want to do anything, because everybody has a job, but all those jobs are considered to be equal jobs. Hearing arguments and hearing about wars and people going really does affect you to your core. They were very free with romantic relationships. I'll be very blunt. Okay, so it was like when you're talking hippie type, they didn't believe you stuck with one person. They were not like monogamous society at all. They always feel spirits around them. You would know that you feel spirits around you. Doesn't mean you have to see them. You can have a very addictive personality. All right, so that's just very, very, that's a very telling one. If you've struggled with food addiction, from food addiction to drug addiction to shopping addiction or whatever addiction, playing games on the computer, whatever it is, if you struggle with just addiction, in general, addictive personality, that's going to be real telling that you might be Lemurian. If you ask why, I just know. It's just you just are, okay? You're just prone to. It's because you love things so much, and you'll just start doing it over and over and over again, and you'll have trouble with something that you like stopping it. And you actually will believe you can communicate with plants, like, and then they have their souls, and they're going to talk back to you, just like the animals. And this one's important. You don't always feel that you are the same person as you were when you were born. Okay, so like you were born, and then you feel like you're not connected. You can almost look in a mirror and you just feel like this isn't me. Like I don't feel connected to this person I'm looking at. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So a little different from the Lemurian, from the Palladians in that. The Lemurians are probably a little more sensitive. Things will upset them more. They get thrown off in life more easier and have some trouble with addiction type things and things like that. And like I said, that'd be how the difference.
Yeah.
I'd say the Palladians maybe have their act together a little bit more, and I can say that because I am a Lemurian. So, yeah. All right.
Okay.
Let's see the next one.
Yep.
Are we good?
What's
Yeah.
next?
Okay. So we've gotten those are really nice ones so far. We've had some really nice ones, and there's a lot more. Of course, I wrote a lot about Lemurian because I know a lot about it. But Atlanteans are next, and I've spoken a little bit about. And y'all have heard of Atlantis, right? Mm-hmm. So Atlantean starseeds, they're going to be charismatic. They're going to have outgoing personalities, unless the flip side, but almost always, it's almost to compensate for how smart they are in science and how smart they are in math. A way you can know if you're an Atlantean or rule yourself out really quickly is if you aren't interested in math or science or any of the surrounding things about or computers, you can rule out Atlantis pretty fast. Okay, Lemurians are afraid of water, and so are Atlanteans sometimes, because Atlantis. We don't know exactly what happened, but it said either the water rose up or it sank. What probably happened, right, is the water rose up, right?
Water rose, yeah.
Okay, so it's not that it sank like they used to say. But is Atlantis real? Yes, it is. And I put at the very beginning of the book, why don't we see all these sites? Are these lost civilizations? And I just said they're not lost, they're just on a different frequency. And if we could tap into that frequency, just like my whole book talks about with Sophia frequencies, and learn to do that, instead of thinking that we have to change, find the dimension. Oh, it's on the 12th dimension, or it's on the 14th, and we're going to go find where that level or what plane that's on. Instead, it's the frequency that you're connecting to. And then if you connect to that frequency, and if you really start listening, when I'll hear buzzy noises and stuff like that, those of you who hear ringing in your ears and you know it's not tinnitus, that's connecting to those different frequencies. So, but they're also Atlanteans are gonna be aware that they're brighter than other people on Earth. Okay, just to be blunt, especially in those fields like science and math, electronics, engineering. Computers, they're going to be aware of that, and they're going to, they won't necessarily be snotty about it, but they'll try to they still will try to conform and gravitate toward mainstream professions of like science and philosophy and things like that. They tend to be workaholics, and they place a lot of where Lemurians don't place a lot of importance on fame, wealth. It doesn't mean you don't care about it, because I do care about that sometimes. I care about if I have nice things. I like my luxury things. So it doesn't totally rule you out. But Atlanteans do care. They care about status. You know how we said Palladians don't as much? But they care more about status, wealth, luxury. But they can manifest a lot of that. So they know how to manifest. So it's not that they're just like, and they're working really hard. So, maybe they deserve it. They're excellent problem solvers. Here's the quiz, because I could just read the whole thing, because I think Atlanteans are fascinating. So a quiz is this, but I told you the way you can kind of rule yourself out right away is the math and stuff. I know good and evil both exist on Earth. Sometimes I feel torn between what is right and wrong. I find I do not really like Earth or humans that much, but yet they'll integrate with them. Is this you?
Must be me.
It's not. I'm just making sure I'm reading them right. I'm reading the right one. I am drawn to military things. So why that? Because eventually they got into that more. Okay, I like dragons. I believe we have free will and in how we behave. Sometimes I want to have more power than I feel I have been given, and I feel like this is
I don't think
wrong.
you're right. You're not reading the right
I think I just found my first typo in my book, you guys. So we're going to come back to that because I think that's a typo in my book. Yay. On live TV.
I was like, you're
I
reading
found a
me for
typo.
sure, but
That is Roger, so I'm going to tell you what I'm reading. I'm reading what?
reptilians.
Reptilian. We're going to have to make a correction in my book because that's a typo. So that's what I just read was reptilian. You're going to have to save me because now I'm going to have a nervous breakdown.
It's fine.
Yeah. So let's go. So let's read Atlantean because I'm going to have to find it now because I was like, that can't be right. The military. I was trying to think, well, military, but no, it's going to say math and whatever in it. I wrote it while I had COVID, so that's probably why. Let's see. Here it is. Got it. This is Atlantean. Number 1. I am science-minded with a high interest in physics, biology, and molecular science. I am a futurist. I believe in the integration of biology and technology. I think this is it, but I'm thrown off now.
That sounds right.
Let's just go to the next one, and I'll come back.
It was right. That was right. But
Where's
what's next?
my publisher?
What's next?
The next one is Arcturian. Do you have that one?
Arcturians.
I feel like I've seen that one. Yeah.
Right there.
What does it say?
Little green guy.
That's not how I think of them.
It says, feeling safe, wisdom keepers, and concern. That's what it says.
Feeling what?
Safe, feeling safe.
Wisdom keeper?
Wisdom keepers and concern.
Okay.
They look like a traditional Martian.
Well, I
Yeah.
know what I wrote is right. So Arcturians, it's interesting. They're from the Arcturus in the Bootes, Bootes constellation. That's the handle of the Big Dipper, and it points to the bright star of Arcturus. And I'll tell you about it. There's a bright star about 36.7 light years from Earth, blah, blah, blah. If you're interested in all that, that's in the book. They bring us ancient wisdom from Arcturus, which is our galaxy's most advanced civilization. They often do this through the use of sacred geometry. So if you're real interested in sacred geometry, that's a big hint right there. I know a lot of people that are super, super interested in sacred geometry. They are the leaders and doers instead of the empaths or feelers. So that sets you apart right there from Palladians, Lemurians, and things like that. They're not going to be as empathic and all that. They're going to be like, okay, what needs to get done? It's time. Let me fix it. Right, Roger? Just I'm ready. But they don't want to hear all about it. They don't want to hear about the feelings. They just want to get in there and fix it, right, and do it. They tend to be more practical than other starseeds. Okay, so they're going to just, again, get things done. They don't want to talk about it, feel it, and all that kind of stuff. They are fantastic at public speaking, and they also deal with a strong shadow side. When I was talking about flip sides, so they have they could quickly flip to shadow side's not always bad, but in this case, they're dealing with their shadow side a lot. Okay? What does yours say?
Oh, it says that they are very small, skin colors vary in range from blue tones to green. Their telekinesis, no sickness at all. They live for over 400 years, but then they choose to end their life at that point.
Okay, yeah, I didn't ever get any of that.
Yeah.
Could be true. And I'm gonna.
And they are, like you said, the most advanced ETs in our Milky Way. So they are
Yeah.
the most advanced ones.
I said that right.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna go on to the next one because I'm not going to read the quiz until I find out what it is, which one's off. Okay, so Orion. Do you have the Orion star seeds?
I did. Well, I have the gray shorts and the gray tall come from Orion.
Right.
Both of these
You
come
can
from
put,
Orion.
yeah, so they're both Orions.
So you have the grays and the talls.
So I said how they're typically given. So they actually are quite diverse in their appearance, but they're typically characterized as this stereotype with the big head and big eyes. Is that what they're showing
That's
them as?
exactly both of them.
But that's not exactly true.
But the thing is that like the shorts are kind of more timid, misunderstood, shy, whereas the grays are more utilitarian, organized, intimidating, kind of more.
And you see these a lot, so you can talk about it, because Roger sees the grays a lot.
Yeah, right. The ones I usually see are the shorts.
The short ones?
The short ones, yeah,
I
not
thought
the
you
tall
talked
ones.
about the tall ones.
I have, but it's usually I see more as the short ones, not the tall ones.
Okay, so they were, so we're talking about Orions, right?
Yes.
So they were, back to Egypt again, they were, the belt of Orion was revered in ancient Egypt. Okay, so you've heard that, right?
Yeah, that's the theory about the pyramids,
Yeah.
right?
And-
Or the Great Pyramids. They line up with
Because
the
they
belt.
line up with the belt.
Yeah, so the symbol of Osiris and the three main pyramids of Giza align with the 3 stars, right? So exactly right, Matt. And creating what they call a gateway to heaven. And that's when I say the way they look is more diverse in their appearance, and they may have some reptilian traits, okay? And we'll get to reptilians in a while. They are truth seekers. They're easily identifiable by their incessant questions. So you know how like a little kid would be like, why, or tell me, explain it to me. They're going to do that about everything. They research and question everything. They're often misjudged as aloof because they hide their emotions due to a lack of trust. And we're talking about hybrids or formed, because I do believe full-formed aliens are walking around too. This lack of trust stems from being dominated by the darker beings known as the Greys. Okay, so depends. This is where we're separating them out.
Right.
Greys, who that would be the bad ones of the Orions, who
That would be the talls.
have
the bad
value.
ones.
They value greed and power. They love and help us. The others love and help us with technology, science, and medicine, while they learn to trust again. Orions have a healthy dose of self-confidence. Due to this self-esteem issue, some have flipped and helped reptilians. So some of them end up doing the flip side, and they go over with the reptilians. We have quite a few reptilians at SoulTopia. Roger's one of them. Lizzie's one of them. And reptilians are not the nicest. We'll get to them in a little while, of the starseeds. But like I said earlier, every one has a flip side, right?
Yeah.
I put, before you make the mistake of thinking they are not spiritual, they play an important role in protecting the Akashic records and providing balance. Their Orion-like council is one of the highest galactic councils, along with the Andromedan Council. So it's not like they're all just bad, okay? But they do have those within them that will flip and help the reptilians.
Yep.
Questions on that?
Nope.
And then I did put in there the difference in how they look. They do have more of it. I compared, I said they are the masculine representation of the polarity, where the Sirians and Palladians would be the feminine, just as the Atlanteans would be the masculine and the Lemurians would be the feminine. This masculine energy brings, in the traditional sense, some more logic than emotions sometimes, right? Okay. I wrote on them the flip side, and I wrote with a few flip side this is where I told you about the flip side with them, but I didn't include them in like the really bad ones, although some people do the Greys. They think of the Greys as all bad. That's why I think I put them up above, because they're not under Orions.
No.
Right. Okay, so you're ready for the flip side?
Okay.
Okay. The Draconians. Have y'all heard of them? Draconians? Okay. So they come from the Draco constellation. That's 303 light years from Earth. They're associated with dragons. That's the one that is J. We just figured that. I know it would. Dragons and are a sub-race of the reptilians. Okay. So, as with any beings, there are some benevolent Draconians. They're not all bad. Who wish to help Earth evolve, and there are also plenty of malevolent Draconians who their intent is to use our resources for their own gain and personal power. The evil Draconians seem to far outweigh those, like I just said, that evolve for good. Draconians are very military in their energy, and they intend to multiply and conquer. Okay, so we have some countries like that, right?
Yep.
And we have some aliens like that too. And so that would be the one I was reading earlier that we thought were Atlanteans, which we quickly figured out they weren't. So let's read that one again. Jay. They know good and evil exist on Earth. They sometimes feel torn between what is right and wrong. They don't really like Earth or humans that much. They are drawn to military things. This makes much more sense. They like dragons. So if you're drawn to dragons, that's one of the things. I believe we have free will and how we behave. Sometimes I want more power than I feel I've been given. I believe there are some species meant to guide and even rule over other species. So as opposed to that whole utopian, I want things to be equal, they believe that it's necessary for there to be rulership and guidance and people to rule over other people, and people need it. And they feel that it's necessary. Sometimes I feel anger come over me that is hard to control, and I believe political hierarchy is important to social order. Okay? So that is...
I kind of think it's kind of funny. The card, he looks like the Pope.
He looks like what?
The Pope. I look at it and I see the Pope.
I think they did that on purpose.
Yeah. I kind of look at that and that's what I see.
Yeah.
Because we all know that they're covering up everything anyway.
And that was our Draconians, right?
Yep.
Yes.
So let's see if we just flipped that. H. I'm hoping that's all that happened. Okay. Let's see if this sounds like Atlanteans. Y'all want to help?
Okay.
Okay. I have a strong interest in technology, Atlantean. I'm curious. This is Atlantean. So I flipped in the book, the Atlanteans and the Draconians are flipped. I have a strong interest in technology. I'm curious how crystals power watches and computers. I have premonitions of natural disasters. That's because of what happened with Atlantis.
Yep.
So that's why. I like order and calm. I know there's negativity in the world because I've experienced it. I'm claircognizant, which claircognizance means you know things, but you don't always know why you know them. I channel spontaneously. Some people consider me cold or aloof. My body often feels heavy and dense, and my healing comes through more energy work than through body work. So it'd be more like Reiki instead of massage. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Very cool. Very cool.
All right. Next is...
We probably have time for about one more.
That's all we got.
Just one more?
Yep.
One more.
Oh, there you go.
So that's the reptilians. So these are also known as lizard people, saurians, and sometimes draconians. People will blend them.
That's cool on that.
Yeah. So tell us what that says, Roger.
Predator, survival, tyrannical.
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 Yeah, it's hard to say. Tyrants. They're tyrants.
Oh, wait, tyrannical.
So they descend from draconians, and they have reptilian features. However, they are master shapeshifters. Said I'd get to that. So I think all of them, probably every starseed can shapeshift to a certain extent, but draconians, reptilians, you'll hear about it. You'll be like, I'm watching so-and-so, and I could name some famous people, and you just see their eyes, and it's like a shift just for a second. And you're like, are they really? Is that a human? Have you ever thought
Yeah,
that?
I've seen those. You've seen those, right, Matt? Where they show the video of the person talking or something, and then their eyes.
But
so
you can
blink
watch
this way,
people.
They blink this way.
You can watch some of the people and that are in high leadership positions,
Yeah,
and I
they're-
am not a conspiracy theorist at all. I'm like, whatever. But you can, and you'll see it shift. You'll see their face shift.
So all right. So in this book here, it actually says the very last sentence for reptilians. A U.S. geologist whistleblower exposed the truth of underground reptilian ETs and how they shot his fingers off with a laser.
Could be.
So there's a
I didn't-
geologist here in the U.S.
Yeah, I didn't write about that, but I did write,
Interesting.
these spirit beings are perfect examples of duality. They helped humans evolve and survive, while on the other hand, they seek to control Earth because they think we need them, right? It's said that they control us through political means and that many are here on Earth living as humans. It is almost as if they possess humans in the way demons do. There are many types of reptilians, but the draconians, geneticists of sorts that seek to perpetuate their DNA, that's what I put for draconians, and earth reptilians, which are wisdom keepers, but who manipulate, and they had wisdom keepers there, who manipulate emotions for their agenda, are the most common draconians.
Yep.
Okay? I don't have time to read the quiz, but it'd be pretty much what I said there. So sort of the we kind of work towards are there more that have like negative intentions? Of course there are. And I think some of the ones that were positive can be, because when you blend it, especially with a human, you're going to get all kinds of variations of what that is going to turn out to be, because the human's personality might be, it might be a Lemurian hybrid with a human, but the human is a real jerk, right? So it doesn't come out exactly that way. So that's it. I'm glad we went through this, since now I know there's a mistake. But keep us on our toes, right, with our quizzes. But do I believe, most importantly, when I was writing this, I wrote it, and I did not write anything down because there was so much going on with the Q thing, like Q and all that when I was writing. That had just come out, that documentary had come out, and I was like, do I really want to put this in the book about draconians and reptilians? And the truth is, yes, because they're real. And I know some, and they're not horrible people. But could they be given the opportunity? Yes. But could anybody be given the opportunity? Yes. So it's a fun thing to do, but not only is it fun, why is it important? I think it's important, like Matt touched on, to figure out, why. Sometimes we don't know why we behave the way we behave. We kind of wonder, like, well, where did that come from? And why am I being that way? Because we might not really know our whole makeup. And that's why I also believe in going to, like, if you talked about this to just anybody, and you said, well, yeah, that's from my Lemurian makeup, a psychologist or something, they may think you're crazy. But there are more and more psychologists and people who totally believe in these things. And obviously the government has been, and I will say, have been hiding it for a long time. That's pretty obvious, right? Yeah. And so I think it's very important to get to know if you resonate or feel like you have any of those, or the person that you are working with, and you're just going, I just don't get that person, and then you see one of these character traits, and you're like, that explains it. I mean, that they may be a really nice person, but they're reptilian, like that one.
Maybe slee stack.
And I didn't talk about insectoids. That would be another one that's on more of the negative side, if you wanted to put that in a category.
Right there.
They tend to not be the nicest, and it could go on forever and ever. But
or the slee stack.
What?
Slee stack.
I don't know. Tell me about
Land of the Lost. You never watched that?
I did. But
oh my God!
I didn't believe back then. I would see beings and I would see different things, but I never watched any of those shows. I thought they were stupid.
What's wrong with you? Why were you not watching that?
Huh?
Why weren't you watching that? That was the best show of all time.
I guess I thought it was dumb.
Oh my gosh.
Now I probably wouldn't as much, but I'd see things and people would tell me things would look a certain way, and I'd be like, they don't. So, anyway.
Okay.
And a lot of people, before we close, to tell you, a lot of people don't believe in, they think, oh, that's mean to say about the Atlanteans and the Lemurians. No, I totally believe that's what happened. Yeah, the Atlanteans were, they had a really good thing, and then they got greedy with the really good thing on how they used the technology.
Yeah.
Yeah. They kind of destroyed themselves.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Okay, so this week at SoulTopia, and then wrap it up, right? So this week at SoulTopia, I have a class Saturday night, 7:30 in Carrollton. However, I think there's only like 2 tickets left. It's almost sold out. It's like 1 or 2 tickets left.
It always sells out.
Yeah. Michelle, check out. She'll be on Facebook. We'll post it when she's going to be on Coast to Coast.
It's the middle of the night.
So middle of the night, you can stay up and listen. We're going to stay up and do it. You can stay up and listen.
I think it's on Coast to Coast now. I just Haven't posted it to mine yet.
Yeah. So, and then Sunday, though, is SoulTopia Psychic Fair. So we've posted that out there. You can actually go to SoulTopiaPsychicFair.com, pre-book your appointment, whether it's the Carrollton location, Frisco location, or the Bishop Arts location. Pick your location, pick your person you want readings or healings with. They're 20-minute sessions for $25. And I'm telling you, pre-book, because those days are getting booked up
Yeah.
all the time. So go ahead and pre-book.
We've had people come in. I always try to tell y'all this. They come in, they're upset because their person they want to read with is, they
They're
don't
totally
get the
booked out.
time. We're trying to tell y'all to book it ahead of time.
Exactly. But other than that, that's
gotta
what's happening
commit.
this week.
Yeah.
All right.
And so look for me. Stay up late Saturday night, Sunday morning, and listen to me on Coast to Coast. It'll be fun.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Well, y'all
Thanks
have a
for
great
joining
evening,
us.
and thanks for joining us. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, man.
Later, guys.
Thanks for listening to SoulWhat, a SoulTopia production. If you're intrigued, searching, or looking to schedule a reading of your very own, visit us in sunny Dallas, Texas, or visit us online at facebook.com/SoulTopia Holistic Boutique. And if you like what you heard, subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcasting platform to be the first to hear new episodes every Tuesday at 7:30 Central.